prices of the commodities, right? So when what are commodities? The daily essentials that an individual requires for living. So what happens when the prices of commodities increases? Usually, what generally happens, ma? When the commodity pricing increases, what happens? What happens to the paying capacity of the buyer? Reduces, right? See, prices go high, whereas your buying capacity goes down. What happens? The number of population below poverty line generally increases. Is it not? See, basic things that are required for living be like food, water, shelter, clothing, right? So what happens if the prices for these commodities increases? People will not be able to afford the increased prices of the commodities, and their needs, basic needs, will not be met. So what happens when inflation occurs, right? What does government do? There's a pay commission that very regularly revises the pay scales or salary ranges of employees so that these employees are capable of meeting their basic needs of living irrespective of the inflation rate. Okay, so no matter how high the inflation rate goes, you you have pay commissions that will back up and that will enable you that every employee is capable of meeting their basic needs of living, right? That's what pay commissions are meant. And they started from first pay commission and now they are at eighth pay commission. So every pay commission they keep revising. The same junior assistant post must have had a salary range of 15,000 or 10,000 in 2000. So 25 years later, the same junior assistant post might be having a scale, salary range of 45,000 or 50,000 because inflation, prices of goods have increased. And if the person needs to be able to cater to his basic needs of living, he or she should be making it a point that his earning is in line with the inflation, right? So, what is the government trying to do in order to, this growing prices or inflation is a challenge or an issue? How is the government tackling it? By revising the pay scales at regular intervals, right? Also, if you see academic institutions, universities keep revising their syllabuses, right? So why do you think universities revise their syllabus from time to time? From time to time, the knowledge, the exposure, the skill set and competencies required by any industry keeps changing. Technology was not a matter of importance or significance maybe 2 or 3 decades back. So, with basic qualification, without any awareness about technology, people were still recruited by companies. But now, technology plays a significant and equal role in fetching you a good job along with the certification or the degree whatever you hold, is it not? So why do you think technology is given such high priority or importance these days? Because every industry is being digitalized, and electronic data is replacing all the manual documentation process. Even with healthcare or government sectors also, you see a lot of digitalization happening, and if you're not on par with the changes that are happening, what happens? You will be called outdated. And why do you think anybody will recruit you if you do not have hands-on experience in various softwares and technological upgrades? Is it not? So when things keep changing, you're supposed to devise measures to overcome those challenges. So let us see what are the contemporary issues that we often come across with respect to international HRM, and how do you think they can be handled without disrupting the organizational function. Okay. See, what happens when there's an issue or a challenge generally? It will have an impact on the organizational functioning. But what can you do without, what can you do such that there is no impact on the organizational functioning and productivity. We are going to discuss that in this session. Okay? All right. So first is role of information technology in HRM. I told you, you must have learned about HRIS, Human Resource Information System. Any idea about this? Any idea about HRIS? No? Yeah. What is meant by HRIS? What is the full form of it? Okay. HRIS is Human Resource Information System. Okay. So, if you remember, traditionally, all the records of the employees would be stored in their respective files. So, when an employee joins an organization, there will be a file that is assigned, manually, a file or a folder kind of thing, wherein all the documents of this particular employee will be going into his respective file. Okay, so that's how any leaves, any loans, any significant documents or reports or anything, with respect to this particular employee will be going into his or her file. That is how documentation used to happen back then. But now companies have replaced their manual documentation process. See, suppose if a company has 10,000 employees, how difficult is it to maintain 10,000 files? Updating them in chronological order, maintaining them, the challenges like pest infestation and all, getting them cleaned regularly, and the space that 10,000 files. Imagine if out of these 10,000 employees, 5,000 of them have been working with your organization for more than 5 years. Imagine the number of documents and the size of the file each of the employee would be taking, and calculate it for 10,000 employees. You would need huge rooms, is that not? Uh, so the space, the maintenance factor, everything is a challenge when it comes to manual documentation and manual preservation of documents. So what is an ideal way to preserve? An ideal way to preserve employees records without the fear of them being damaged or lost is electronic records. Is it not? So simply copy all the data into electronic databases. And do you think you need huge space for electronic data? Just a small chip or a pen drive or a hard disk would hold, not just 10,000, 10,000 lakhs of employees' data can be stored. Is it not? So, and easy accessibility also. Every time I need to access an employee's information, I need not rush to the, you know, area wherein reports or documents have been stored. I can access it from my desk with proper login credentials, is it not? So ease of accessibility, ease of storage, the space consumption aspect can be minimized. And also, do you think electronic data needs to be maintained? You'll have to make sure that proper security and safety has to be ensured for the data. Otherwise, there is a possibility that data can be stolen or hijacked. Otherwise, it is very safe to be stored, is it not? And also the fear of pest infestation and all is completely zero in electronic data storage. Yes or no? And anybody in the organization can have an access, any authorized person can have an access to each and every employee's information or data, because the data is readily available and accessible. from any place. Okay. So, this is one change or reformation that you see. HR managers are no longer maintaining manual records of employee documents and all. They just store everything in employee database. Every employee will have a user ID, and you have portals like Great HR. You know, every employee will be given a login credential, and this portal can be accessed by both the employee and the employer. So if the person wants to apply a leave, you don't need to do any paperwork anymore. You will have to just log in into your portal and apply leave, mention the specific reason, and escalate this thing to the HOD. And if your HOD approves, your leave will be marked. Then that is how things like, your pay slips come to the portal. You can just directly log into your portal and download your pay slips and your attendance percentage, your important documents, everything related to the employee is accessible by the employee and the employer on the database or the portal, HR portal, is it not? So how convenient is it for employees and employers as well, these kind of documentation, electronic documentation, right? So you need not go to your HR multiple times to check if your document is uploaded or not. You can just open your portal and see if the document is uploaded or not. If it is, it will be clearly visible, right? Your number of leaves, any loans or deductions, or any transactions, monetary or non-monetary, everything will be clearly reflected on the portal, right? So that is the reformation that we get to see in most of the companies these days. So companies have replaced their manual documentation and data storage to electronic storage. All right. And then how about um, what do we say? Ah, do you think it is very much necessary for people to be present in person to take up a job these days? Not really, right? I have many of my friends working for US based companies or UAE based companies, and not even once have they visited their the company that is in a foreign country in person, right? But then everything is on point. The recruitment went virtual, and then the job offered was sent online, and work will be assigned by the manager online, and every work that you do will be sent through mails and other work portals, right? Any kind of meetings with the managers happens virtually. Knowledge transfers, KTs, happen virtually, right? Any kind of interactive sessions or knowledge exchange sessions happen virtually. So, and your remuneration compensation also will be, pay slips will be sent virtually, and compensation or remuneration part will be credited directly into your account. So, and if the boss or the HOD will be conducting, constant interactive sessions virtually. So, it's not very necessary or 100% mandatory that everybody needs to be physically present in order to take up a job. That is the scenario now, is it not? But do you think 3 or maybe 3 decades back, did people think that this could be a possibility? No, no. There are certain industries, exceptions need to be given, like healthcare. I can't sit at my home and treat a patient who's in a hospital. So, in order to be able to treat a patient, I should be going in person. See, healthcare and certain professions should be considered as exceptions. Otherwise, in most of the cases, people need not be present in person to take up a job or, you know, serve a particular role in an organization. Do you agree with this? What are your ideas on this? Do you agree with this? Yes, ma? Any idea? Not really, right? See, when you are able to manage all the, when you are able to store all the data electronically, and time and labor management can be done virtually through HR portals. Leave management also can be done. Payroll, know how many days the person has been present, how many leaves, how many unpaid leaves, how many paid leaves, everything is calculated by the portal. And end of the day, a report will be sent to the HR as to how much salary has to be paid to the employee as per the leaves that he has taken. So based on that, your payslip will be made and your salary will be credited. So benefits, all the fringe benefits like accommodation facilities, canteen facilities, transportation facilities, everything is available uh, virtually on the portals and all. No, insurance, every year the insurance details are to be updated and all. That account needs to be having an upgrade, everything will be updated on the portal, and every employee gets to have an easy access of it, is it not? So this is what is called as HRIS, human resource information system. So technology has taken over majority of the functions. These days training also happens virtually. You see like people from different countries connecting on one single platform and undergoing training. This is actually very it's a progressive aspect. Your location is no more a barrier, language is no more a barrier, inaccessibility is no more a barrier. Anybody from anywhere, in from any corner of the world, can have an easy access or connect with other people thanks to technology and internet, is it not? So this is information technology, HRIS. And let's now talk about MIS. What is MIS? Any idea what's MIS? What is MIS? Hello, am I audible? Can you hear me? Okay, MIS stands for Management Information System. Majority of the decisions taken by managers. You don't see them connecting in person and consulting with every person and then taking decisions with respect to important aspects of the company. uh, Decision making in most of the organizations, is intervened with internet as an interface. Okay, I'll explain this thing. For example, if the CEO of the company has an important message to be conveying to his employees, do you think he needs to be coming in person to the office and then go in person to each and every department and convey? No, right? How do you think people communicate? How do you think communication happens? Now, how are the channels of communication established these days? Thanks to globalization, there's, most of the organizations do not have just one unit. They're not just spread within a state. You have units of companies spread across various states in a country. Not just country. You have various branches of a company spread across different states in a country, and spread across various countries in the world. Is it not? So, how do you think all these people are communicating? Because all the, more or less the vision and vision statement of all these units, though they are spread across various parts of the world, the mission and vision statement remain the same, because the CEO is the same, right? The functional policies and rules and regulations more or less remain the same. Is it not? Because there's one management. Though there are hundreds of branches that are spread across various parts of the world, still the center or the head of the organization is one person, the same. Is it not? So, when it is a centralized hierarchy, possibly, how do you think all these people that are operating across different parts of the world are communicating and on staying in alignment with the advancements that are happening? Mm-hmm. Yes. How do you think people communicate in corporate industries? Uh huh. Hello. Can you hear me? See, people connect virtually. Is it not? Most of the organizations do have um well established channels of communication. Usually, you see people connecting on a daily basis through Teams or Zoom sessions. Is it not? And then on a daily basis, you see people updating about the work that they need to be doing for the day, or the team leads assigning work to their subordinates. So there's a lot of communication that happens through internet. Is it not? Imagine a day without internet in a workplace. Considering the current scenario, imagine a day at workplace without internet. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be easy? Hello? It isn't going to be any easy, is it not? Because you will not be able to communicate, you will not be able to post progress of your work, you will not be able to, get any updates about the work that needs to be done. So it's almost like a disruption in your workflow process, is it not? So what do you do generally when you have such kind of disturbances? Hello, are we connected? See, most of the operations, day to day operations that happen at organizations are, carried out virtually or using internet as an interface. Is it not? See, if the team lead has got, uh, a work to be assigned to four of her subordinates. How do you think she'll quickly ask them to connect on a Teams meeting, and then she'll assign each of them their respective tasks, and end of the day she'll connect with them and take an update about the status of the task that she has assigned to them. That's how she's going to ensure that she assigns the work and takes an update about the progress of the work and ensures that the task is accomplished. Imagine, people working from home and all these work from home things, or people working in different shifts and all, how are they still able to connect and have a continuity in their work? This is because they have internet as an interface, right? Information technology plays a major role in ensuring that people stay in line with the organizational protocols. Is it not? See, somebody who works in the morning and somebody who's working in the night, they're supposed to connect about a common task. Either the morning shift person should be again reporting in night shift, or the night shift person will be coming, should be staying back for the morning shift again after his night shift, to make sure that both of them are able to talk about a common task, but without disrupting any of their work process flows. There is another, you know possibility, which is them connecting using information technology. Is it not? So, most of the organizations do have employee portals, client portals, right? And then supply chain, people dealing with supply chain resource management and all do have, customer portals. So, there are a lot of portals through which people interact on common platforms, right? So, information technology. And how do you think this has created a major, you know, mm, what do I say? Mm. So, how do you think it's going to help international HRM? Not just people who are working from home within the country. Have you heard about people who connect on Teams meeting? One person will be from one country, the other person will be from some other country. So, all these people from various countries are together able to connect on one single platform and talk about one single task, and all of them can together accomplish one task, right? How do you think this is able to, I mean, this is possible? This is possible because information technology and the specialities like HRM or finance or anything, they have collaborated with each other and departmental collaboration. Most of the organizations do have a separate IT department, right? And this IT department is responsible for developing websites and softwares that will enable people to connect, and exchange information, knowledge transfer, carry out day to day operations. So there are a lot of advantages and operational activities that happen using information technology. Okay. And some companies do generally, uh, rely on third parties for IT services, right? All these IT companies and all, they would be offering their services to their clients. Suppose a hospital, all the patient, like I said, how employee data is stored in databases, patient data also can be stored in databases, right? So for 5 years, if a patient data needs to be stored in the form of a file, imagine how much space would it take. If it's a 500 bedded hospital and every month there are close to 20,000 or 30,000 patients, and for a year how many patients you would have, and five for 5 years you're supposed to safeguard, and it's mandatory that you're supposed to stay, I mean, let the medical records of the patient stay in your premises for at least 5 years, and if it's a medical legal case it has to stay there forever. And you think or imagine how big or huge the MRD should be. So do you think electronic data will be an advantage here? Definitely yes, is it not? So in a small space, with two or three people exclusively designated for collecting data, compiling data, storing data, coding and encoding the data, it will be easier for hospitals to manage lakhs and lakhs of patients information using electronic data, is it not? So uh, since the hospital is a healthcare industry and its major function is not IT, it will rely on a third party like an IT company to take up. If the hospital is 1,000 bedded and has a lot of patients, things to be done, instead of relying on a third party, they themselves set up an IT department and they rely on their IT department, interdepartmental collaboration, right? So that's how people collaborate. Another thing is outsourcing. What is outsourcing? What is the meaning of outsource? Any idea what is outsourcing? Hello. Okay. Outsourcing is a process of relying on a third party to get your work done. Like I just gave you an example. If the hospital is just 50 bedded or 100 bedded, there's no point in setting up a separate IT department designating two or three people to take care of the IT related operations of the organization. Right? You can just rely on any consultancy, IT consultancy, or an IT service company, and that will do the job. What if the hospital is 1,000 bedded or 500 bedded and the volume of operations is so high? It's better to have your own in house IT department and they're there 24 by 7 as and whenever you need any assistance related to information technology. Okay, so this is how outsourcing. And do you think outsourcing happens in HR? What kind of HR activities can be outsourced? Here, can we outsource recruitment? Can we outsource recruitment? See, recruitment is a very lengthy process. Is it not? You will have to start with understanding the number of positions to be filled. So once you determine the number of vacancies to be filled, what do? You give a notification, job notification. Do you think it is very easy to find appropriate or right candidates as soon as you give out notification? No, right? See, sometimes you will have to go on campus recruitment drives. Sometimes you will have to conduct walk-in drives. Sometimes you will have to, uh, what is this? Do certain things like poaching and all. So if people, if efficient people are already working with other companies, you would generally, poaching as such is considered ethical, because if somebody who is capable and efficient enough is working for another company, you would negotiate with them for higher remuneration, and you make sure that you bring them to your organization so that their capabilities and competencies are put to use by you rather than somebody else. Okay, so this is one thing. Uh, okay, and now once you get you conduct campus drives and walk-in drives, and then interviews. The interview you have, in one round of interview, you won't be able to find the right candidate who will fit your expectations, is it not? So what do? You will conduct a series of interviews, and finally, even after conducting 4 or 5 rounds or cycles of interviews, you're still not sure if you are able to find the right candidate or not. And in order to conduct this interview, you will require people, time, materials, money, manpower, so a lot of things. And then sometimes you will have to keep aside your regular operations and focus on recruitment so that you are able to find right candidates for the vacancies. But then, do you think you can rely on a third party that is specialized in carrying out recruitment? Yes, there are recruitment consultancies. So these consultancies exclusively, you talk to them and tell them what is your requirement and how many number of people you are looking for. These consultancies would take up the entire struggle of searching for candidates, conducting interviews, filtering candidates, finally selecting the right candidates and sending them to you for your final approval. Is it not? So instead of, your job is just to give out job notification in the beginning, and in the end, when the candidate finally shortlisted candidates, so you will have to give them a final approval. The middle part of, conducting interviews, filtering the resumes, carrying out various rounds of interviews, everything is taken care of by the consultancy. Okay, so the consultancy is now, a third party that has taken up the job of recruiting on behalf of the company, because the company, there are a number of reasons for which companies rely on outsourcing, right? Firstly, it's a time waste process. When an expert or a specialized agency is available in the market that can do the job for you, you better rely on the expert consultancy rather than you, spending all your resources and time. Instead, you can use these resources and time to focus on your major operational activities, right? So that's how, you would generally do this recruitment as an outsourcing. And then next thing is training, right? So sometimes training programs are not just conducted within the premises of their organization. Employees are allowed to go out of the organization, get trained, get certified, and come back. So you see outsourcing done in training as well. Payroll. There are consultancies or companies that generally, that are specialized in offering payroll services. Okay, 10,000 employees in Narma. How difficult it is. It is very difficult, right? To calculate the number of leaves, how much salary, enter deduction, enter increment, everything, and then making a pay slip ready for them and, you know, crediting them salary. It's very challenging for companies. Instead, if there are payroll, mm, you know, if there are third parties that are specialized or expertise in payroll management, you just give them all the information and data, and they will do the calculation part and everything, right? So that is, training, recruitment, payroll. What are the other functions? Database management of employees. Everything can be outsourced. All you have to do is just, uh, tell them what your requirement or need is, and the third party or outsourcing company will be doing the job of fixing things. Okay. So outsourcing generally saves time. Outsourcing saves resources. Outsourcing will help individuals, or companies focus on their mainstream operations rather than focusing their time and routing their resources on something that is outside of their core operations. Is it not? And also, you will be able to get expertise from skilled consultancies or agencies than relying on your own manpower. Okay. So these are the advantages of relying on outsourcing for HR functions. Okay. So are there any other functions of HR that can be outsourced? Payroll, we discussed. Recruitment, we discussed. Training, we discussed. And then employee database management, we discussed. And then what else, ma? Is there anything else that can be outsourced? So, yeah. So this is all about outsourcing and how significant it is in ensuring that all the HR functions are carried out without any disruption in the workflow process, right? So when the organization cannot do certain HR functions by itself, it can rely on third parties to do the to get the work done, right? Like training or payroll management or database management or recruitment or anything related to HR. Yeah, so this is all about the contemporary issues and how organizations have been, trying to handle all these issues and challenges and still, create a greater impact globally through international HRM. Okay, I think I am clear with whatever is discussed. I hope you're clear, right? If there's anything, just go through the material and let me know if there's anything that needs to be discussed or you still have any doubts with. Okay, fine then. I'll take a leave in that case. Thank you all.